Holy smokes. This might be the best video I could ever make. This is insane to watch go down in live time. The Leafs, it has been reported through The Athletic. You can trust them. Trustworthy source. They had Myrtle on there, Jonas Siegel. They've talked to people on the inside in the Leafs organization, and they have came up with some big issues that we're going to talk about. Now, obviously, right here, the header. The Leafs staff has been using AI-generated content for possible trade returns. Wow. So Keith Pelley, the CEO of MLSE, the guy's controlling 6 teams by strings like puppets. He has no idea what he's doing in any sport, let alone hockey. This man fired Shanahan, replaced him with nobody, said, I'll just deal directly with the coach and GM, Trey Living in Berube. And wow, has this been a disaster start. Apparently, he came in on the trade deadline. He was in the war room, and he was he used AI to come up with some information he had on a paper. And he was he was joining in on all the conversations, giving his input of what he thinks they should do. From a guy who has no interest or experience, said from himself that he doesn't want to be doing any of this. He's in there giving his input for no good reason. So there's a lot to go over. I do have the article. I have the overdrive clip with a little rant. I have Sid Sixero going on a rant. I have some information, but this is all about money for this team. There's lots of stuff that they've decided to do to save money for some reason when there's a rich billionaire company. I mean, you become billionaires not by morals, but by pinching every dollar you can, really. So they remove player discounts on merchandise and meals at Real Sports. They increase ticket prices for friends and family, and that's including for a shitty team. They charged $750 to a young fan to swing the flag around at a game. Like, what is going on? There's a big article, and we'll get into all of it. But they are entering their AI era, says Sid Sixero. Now listen to this. This is just funny. This is really funny. Like, I'm not a Leafs fan. As a Leafs fan, my head would be exploding. Exploding.
A message to anyone out there who doesn't like where this is going. Too bad. Because this is exactly what Pelley is going to do. Keith Pelley is going to try and create a world where if he hits a home run, he takes all the credit, and if it's wrong, AI led him down a bad path. If you are an executive coming into the Leafs organization, like how...
And he is not wrong. He is not wrong. Like, with all these businesses, they're cutting tons of business jobs out. AI is taking over all the marketing jobs, all the finance jobs. They're going to be taking all the inside where you have one guy overheading a bunch of AI to control companies now. That's how it'll be. But for sports, I just don't know. Maybe they've created their own model, or maybe some teams have their models where it doesn't just have access to data, because they all have access to private models and private data that the public do not. Maybe they have made an AI that can read all that and judge, but it's such a subjective sport, but all sports are subjective, in where what is the best way to build a team? Is there one best way? I don't think there's one best way. I think it's suited based on the type of personnel you have. And there's so much that goes into trying to win, trying to sell, get assets, draft, everything. Like, I don't know if AI is at the spot where you where you can run a sports team through it. You ask your ChatGPT right now, you ask your Grok for sports information, sometimes it'll give you a year behind schedule. You'll be asking who's the best player, and it'll be bringing up stats from like 2 years ago. And it's not deep into stats. Maybe they have their own private models. I highly doubt it that it's good enough to be useful right now. Now let's get into O-Dog's rant, because this was friggin' hilarious, man.
That all of this is just one of the biggest problems about the organization, where it's just all about money, man.
Well,
like, they make so much money, and all of this stuff is just nonsense. So what is it, that they just only care about the bottom line? It certainly seems that way.
That
because
is.
hockey people should be doing hockey.
And unfortunately, in all sports, because the teams are not worth $10 million, they're not worth $100 million, they're worth like $2, $3, $4, $5 billion. It's not sports fans buying these teams. Every goal when they expand to a new market, get an extra team, an expansion team, or sell their team, the goal is to get the most money. You're not going to find that with passionate hockey fans, passionate sports fans. It's people who they're billionaires because that's all they care about is making money. Now, the Ottawa Senators were one of the recent deals where they didn't take the most money. They had an offer from from a company that included Snoop Dogg to like present them as a good fit because Snoop Dogg will grow the game. But they knew that it was a bunch of billionaires buying it to make a profit. They went with Michael Andlauer because he had enough money to pay $800 million or something like that. It was way less than the other offer, hundreds of millions of dollars less. But they knew he had a passion for the sport. He was a minority owner for the Habs and a season ticket holder for like 30 years, going to like every game. He's in the war room. He knows hockey. He used to own an OHL team. That was the one time that they really sold to a guy who loves the sport. Now you need owners where they love it, but that's not the case in sports, unfortunately. And every team is going down this path of, the fans are pissed because they want to win more than their owners do. The owners, sure, they want the playoff ticket revenue, but they will do a lot of things to cut money. And you wonder why some trades happen, why some owners step in and they say, well, let's go for this guy. Let's offer up an extra first so that we can cut his salary in half so we don't have to pay it for those 3 months. We can cut a couple million out, even though it hurts the actual team in the long run because you're giving up another draft pick when you weren't against the cap. That happens, and you blame the GM, but a lot of times there's pressure of the owners.
Hockey work, and that's just the way it is. I talked about the Carolina Hurricanes. There's Tom Dundon, who's not my favorite owner in the world, and then there's the GM, and then there's Rod Bindermore and some great guys around him. And they win a damn lot of hockey games. A lot.
Yep.
And it's a very
They kept it simple.
chain of command. It's
Yep.
not all this nonsense with the board and all of this stuff and guys walking around with robots in a room to spit out calculations on what to trade assets for. It's all not. I'm embarrassed by this, man. I can't even believe what I was reading today. And you just pile all of it on top. Like if you were, I tweeted out today.
I
like,
would
if I
be
was
embarrassed.
A great player, and I found out the guy running the hockey operation had some kind of weird scientist that he had no idea that was in the war room running the operation. I'd be like, what the hell's going on here? I want to buy into this and believe in this. What the hell's going on here? R2-D2 is in the war room.
R2-D2 in the war room. That's fucking comedy, O-Dog. Oh, his rants are hilarious. It's insane. And it started with his press conference at the end of the year. I did a video on that. You should watch it. I did a video on some of the reactions of it. He brought up AI in the year-end, not even year-end, but basically year-end sit-down interview where he was talking for some reason, even though he doesn't know anything. I don't know why he's even talking, but he brought up AI, and that sparked the whole thing. Seems like it was deeper than just that. I thought, maybe he didn't mean it as that deep of a thing. Oh no, they're using AI over there. Keith Pelley on trade deadline day. Pelley was in the war room. He wasn't there the year before with Shanahan in charge. Weird why all this stuff's happening this year now that Shanahan's gone and he's just stepped right in. Had notes that staff believed, and staff said it. Now, he came out and denied it, saying that no, he didn't have AI, which is hilarious because staff from the inside have believed that it was AI generated. And I think especially if it's coming from a guy who doesn't watch hockey, reading names wrong. It's like, how do you know Michael Hage and you're saying Hagee? Like, what? There's only one explanation. You're spoon-fed that information. Pelley said he was an observer, but this is not true of getting involved. Yeah, I don't believe that. Question scouts. See, like that, he's questioning scouts, demanding more in trades. He wanted more assets specifically, which isn't always better. Oh my God. Gave his opinions and ideas for no good reason. So I guess everyone was surprised how involved he was, which that's not the passion you want. You want to see him like get involved in meetings between everyone, get outside information. You know, you could interview different people. What do you think? What do you think? Pitch it all together. But he's just, I don't know. So we get into the article that they wrote. I do have funny other stuff too, but we get into this article here. It was a great long article on The Athletic. So I'll get into this one, Dysfunctional Central. So after he let Shanahan go, he hired no replacement. He wanted to work closely with Treliving and Berube. By late February, he'd only been around the team sporadically. And then he appeared at the trade deadline for whatever reason. And so let's see. So he's talking about moving the rental players out, adding younger pieces, yada yada. In a letter sent to the season ticket holders, Pelley casted blame for the team's ups and downs on injuries and condensed schedule that every team faces. Every team has had this Olympic jammed in schedule. Injuries, yes, the Leafs had it bad. A lot of teams have had it just as bad, really. A lot of teams have. The Matthews injury was bad. They had a lot of defense and their goalies went down, but some of the other players have played most of their games this year. And you know, from his year-end interview, he was talking about, we were so surprised that the Habs came up out of nowhere and the Sabres came up out of nowhere. If you knew any bit of hockey, you would have known the Habs were going to pass the Leafs. They were in the playoffs last year. And the Sabres, they always had this team that could. They just never got there. Every year, people were just waiting. When are they going to get it? When are they going to get it? Sure, you could say they weren't in it for a decade plus, but their team on paper was good enough to be in the playoffs. With only a few days later, misalignment continued with Berube. Said after morning skate, no players would sit against the Devils for trade purposes. The Athletic revealed shortly thereafter that 3 players were going to be sitting out that night. So he didn't even know. Management gave him the call. So we got... So he prepared to make a big deal with Matthew Knies, and he actually did present other names too. That was really funny. He did present that in the Knies talks, such as Michael Hage, Adam Engstrom, Jacob Fowler, David Reinbacher, which is 3 Habs right there, Hellenius, and Radim Murtka, pumping up all of his division rivals' prospects' tires for no good reason. It was just the weirdest possible thing. And now that he's been included with using AI, the staffers, or the belief among staffers, was that Pelley's AI musings were coming directly from Teherani, the guy who's probably going to become the GM, which is crazy, or is at least up there in the running for it. And he's been one of Pelley's most trusted advisors. Talk about inside job here. He had fingers in all his MLSE teams. Yeah, and how have they done? How have they done over the recent years? Absolutely brutal. We got some funny tweets here. We got some good funny tweets. O-Dog says, I wonder what I would have thought if I was a truly elite player and found out the guy running the operation brought R2-D2 into the war room. I'd be straight out of town. I'd be out of town. Keith Pelley introducing the next president of hockey operations and general manager of the Leafs. Nice little Tesla bot there. Classy touch. Classy touch. Keith Pelley is so cheap, he only used the free version of ChatGPT. That's how he got Brandon Carlo. That's a banger. That's a banger. Brandon Pridham, writing a list of player contract evaluations ahead of free agency. Keith Pelley going down the list player by player and going, Grok, is this true? That's so good. So they weren't even just using AI, but they were talking about their budget cuts for no reason. Like, I've been over this before with a couple of these points, but player discounts at Real Sports, the apparel and bar and grill went from 50% to 30%. Like, why would you even drop that? Ticket prices for family and friends went up. Like, I don't know. And you're gonna make a couple grand over the year on it, like, but you're just gonna push everyone away and create bad turmoil. Like, I don't understand the pros to the cons of that. Marlies are required to bus more instead of flying. Of course. Leafs are charging $950. It wasn't $750, it was $950 for young fans to wave the flag at center ice. Pelley doesn't replace Shanahan or Masai Ujiri as presidents of the Leafs or Raptors. He's just stepping in himself. Oh, yeah, we got this. And the worst one of all, the Leafs scrapped the Father's Day trip, which, like, every team has done now. Like, every team has taken this tradition because it's awesome. And they have a mother's trip, and they even have, some teams have sisters or brothers trip or mentor trips. They have, like, multiple trips. They scrapped the Father's Day trip for financial reasons. Like, what? Why? Ty Domi should have came out and just slandered the organization. The trip was rescheduled in March with mentors. That's hilarious. They probably got backlash, and then they went to their woke new ideas. The billionaires love pushing up the woke agendas. Well, what if everyone doesn't have a father? Let's call it the mentors. Like, I mean, when stuff like that, if somebody doesn't have a dad, they bring someone who is their father figure. Like, I got a weird feeling like it's somehow woke related. But it was so last minute. Many players didn't bring anyone. Like, what a brutal organization. Billionaires for what? Like, you ruined the best organization outside of the actual playing hockey, how they treated their players, how they treated their fans, the stuff they did. I mean, they weren't always the best at giving, like, the fan packages and stuff, because they don't have to go the extra mile like smaller teams to get the engagement with fans. But for the most part, how they treated their players, their alumni, their employees, it was all top of the line, and it's gone downhill quick. Like pretty much every billion-dollar organization in Canada, but probably the States too. Money, money, money. AI. This is the future now. What a friggin' joke.